Hi guys, I thought I'd do a little vlog even, about my visual impairment. I've figured it's something that people are probably curious about. People aren't always comfortable asking the question, and personally I have no issue talking about it. So, I am totally blind. I have never seen light. Well, I've never seen, that's not true. I haven't seen light or dark since I was probably about 8 or 9. I was born with a really rare eye condition called primary congenital glaucoma. There's around about 4 different types of glaucoma, and I was born with the type that is present basically at the time of conception. So my right eye, if you can see, you might be able to see, is slightly larger than my left. It's quite a common feature of children with childhood glaucoma. So basically the eyeball's slightly larger than the left. That eye has a screwed up retina. So I've never seen out my right eye ever. So I had good vision. Well, okay vision, I suppose. No, it's not really good. I don't know what the acuity was. Could see enough to kind of get around, could read and write with glasses. I think I had pretty good long distance. I can remember seeing like far away when I was a kid. What the condition means though is that I had no drainage channels at the back of my eyes when I was born. So they had to construct those. So all the pressure in my eye kind of built up like a pressure cooker. My mum didn't find out I had anything wrong with my eyes until I was 6 weeks old, and it was only at my 6-week assessment, and well, let's just say the NHS didn't handle it very well. So I was then rushed into hospital and had my first surgery at the age of 7 weeks, and they started to reconstruct the channels. I'd had 13 surgeries by the time I was 5, so I spent a lot of time in hospital. Was very used to having eye checks, and I used to cry because I didn't want to have the yellow drops in my eyes. Anyone who goes through any eye kind of assessments knows exactly what I mean. I can still kind of taste those drops. They were disgusting. I also really hated the pre-med medicine. Like, I would scream the place down when they tried to, like, they used to have to pin me down. You won't be able to do half the stuff they had to do to me, like, nowadays because of, like, health and safety and stuff. But they used to have to pin me down because I was like, I don't want the medicine, it's horrible. I also hated the Hemley cream. So, well, actually, it wasn't the cream itself that I hated, although that makes me feel really sick now, even thinking about it. So they put this cream on your hands. If you've never had general anaesthetic, they put this cream on your hands, and it's to make your veins pop up, like, so they can find a good line, so they can put an injection of the lining to kind of put the anaesthetic in your body, right? And the plaster they put over this cream is the most disgusting, like, surgical chemical smell you can ever imagine. And it's not even just smell that's vile. The smell is horrendous. But if you ever touch it, oh no, like, ugh, it still makes me squeamish now. I really hate it. To the point I beg them not to do it, and they're like, no, we have to. And I'm like, but I really don't want it. So yeah, good old Hemley cream. So I was pretty much an eye consultant by the age of 5. Like, I knew a lot about my own eyes at that age, which was cool because they never really held stuff back from me. I was always really involved in my medical care. And obviously that's a case-by-case basis. But I think my mum will tell you that I could probably recite more about my own eye condition than, like, my GP could, or, like, my mum could never understand. Like, she's like, what did the doctor say? Like, to a 6-year-old. I was like, well, I retained a lot of information. What can I say? So then what happened was I had all these surgeries, and I can remember the days before very clearly. So we were sitting in the school hall. It was a really kind of pea soup day, so you know the kind, it's like really gloomy outside, and we were having a rehearsal. I think it was for a Christmas concert or something, I remember sitting in the hall thinking to myself, oh, why is it like, it's really is like pea soup outside, really, oh, it's horrible, like almost looked really thundery. Didn't think anything of it. Went home, was having like watched the TV, and I kept saying to my mum, why is there like waves on the telly? And she was like, there isn't. And I'm like, I can see waves. Like, she's like, oh, okay. Like, she just, I don't know, she thought I was playing her up or what, I don't know. And then the next day I don't remember as clearly, but apparently I kept tripping up and my mum kept shouting at me. Because you know, like mums do, like, pick your feet up, watch where you're going. Like, yeah. My mum never treated me any differently like that. She still doesn't. So she'd still tell me to watch her room going, I'm like, guide dog, hello. So at the age of 6.5, I woke up, I think the first day was a Tuesday, and then it was the Wednesday, obviously, when I was tripping up. And then on the Thursday, I woke up and I was shouting my mum into my bedroom, and I was like, Mummy, I can't see. And my mum, very emotional, as you would be, burst into tears, and I just turned around and I was like, oh, I'll be fine, Mum. Like, typical 6-year-old, like, whatever. I got this, don't panic. Don't know how I knew I'd got this, but anyway. So basically got me into the hospital. The hospital tried to do the repair, so my retina had detached in my left eye, which is problematic, and that's exactly what the waves were on the TV. Something to do with the light that a television screen or like creates. I don't know if it would work nowadays because obviously the difference in pixels and stuff, but the way the television was, it was basically reflecting back and I could see my own eye, which is really weird, right? So hence why it looked like waves, because you got the blue and then you've got the white crest of the the white bit of the eye. I can't even think what that's called. I know the blue bit's the iris. I can't remember what the white bit's called. Anyway, it's not important. I'm not having an eye assessment now. So that detached again, and then I had to go back to the hospital again. At this point, I was like literally off school for like 6 weeks, and most kids would be like, yay, school, no school, woo. Trust me, gets old very quickly, guys. I just wanted to be with my friends. I was really sad because, you know, I was always like a big performer, and we were doing the school nativity and I had to miss that, and I was just really, really sad. So I begged my mum to go back to school. Unbeknownst to me, there was a massive kind of fight on keeping me mainstream education, because this is like 89, early, not like 90, that kind of the end of the year. So it wasn't as well heard of. Like, kids usually went to specialised schools if they had like severe visual impairment, and my mum wasn't willing to let that happen. So her and my mum's best friend pretty much were like, right, we're just gonna fight. My school were amazing. Like, my school didn't want me to go anywhere either. It was just kind of the toss between the LEA and everything else. Happy to say that literally my mum and her friend were like ready for a fight. They like literally showed up at the court hearing and was like, we're ready for it. And the LEA just turned around and went, yeah, Marie can have whatever she needs. She can have an LSA. She can have all the equipment she would possibly need for school. And everyone's like, I remember mum, well, I don't remember, but I remember my mum and her friend telling me later that they were like good because they were all ready for this fight and they didn't have to fight, which is great, really, because it just meant that the LEA saw sense. So I was very privileged. I went through mainstream education, had great support, went to a really amazing primary school and a pretty decent high school as well. Again, got all the support I needed. I had a few more surgeries later on in life. They did do a surgery that they thought I would be able to maybe regain some sight back. There was a 50% chance. As a result, was really struggled with my, like, I'd kind of, I don't know, like, I'd been told when I was 7 that there was a chance my sight could come back as quickly as it went. And I think in retrospect, that was not the greatest thing to say to a 7-year-old, because every night I went to bed and prayed that it would come back. So I kind of like dealt with a lot of grief. Then later on, like when I was going through my teenage years, I struggled a lot fitting in, all that kind of stuff, because mainstream education and integration is amazing, but the one thing that you struggle with is seeing other people who are like you. So like I had no friends who were visually impaired. I don't think I actually made friends who were visually impaired properly until I was like in my 20s. And even then, the people I kind of see and hang around most now are all, again, visually sighted. Making up words. Are fully sighted. So it's kind of like, I don't know, like I just struggled with that kind of side of it a lot. And things like bereavement counselling weren't a thing back then. Not to like understand that, you know, I'd lost a sense, basically. But I was pretty privileged. My mum never really let it stop me doing anything. So she was probably harder on me than she was on my sighted sister, and she'll admit that. So like she'd like make me peel vegetables and stuff like that. My sister could just like go out and do whatever she wanted. But I think my mum in her mind was like, not going to be here forever. So again, she had a lot of emotional stuff to deal with in the beginning. She didn't want me to learn Braille. She didn't want me to learn to use a cane, because it was like she was losing the sighted child that she had. All right, not fully sighted, but a child that didn't need those things at that point. So it was like a grief process for her, and that's fine, because it was a massive change, like for all the family. You know, but we adapted. My mum's friend was really key in that, and the support that we got through school and everything. I did learn Braille because I wanted to do it. I was probably very headstrong anyway. I always wanted to do things that I was told I wasn't supposed to, or people didn't want me to. So, you know, there was a lot of mobility stuff that went on in the early days. Like I didn't get integrated back into class straight away, and which was kind of lonely in the beginning, but it was understandable because they were setting me up for success, which is the greatest thing. So yeah, that's kind of the base of it. Like I said, I've been pretty lucky in the sense that I had the interim support from family and from education. I think the support lacks severely, and I think that's probably true still now, is that once you kind of leave, like, you know, education, like you're kind of like high school and stuff, the kind of support transition into like the work world is not always that easy. I know that because I searched for years for work and stuff like that. So it's a big transition. But like I said, I was fortunate that I had the people around me that I grew up with. So my mum's friend, who I've talked about, she was an integral part of my childhood. Like I used to go dancing before I lost my sight. I had to stop after I lost my sight because they were worried the retina would detach again. But I used to like go everywhere with her and her family. Like her husband used to play cricket and used to play with her kids. And like, I'll never forget, one of my auntie's friends would ring her up if she ever saw us at the cricket club or the rugby club and say, "Oh my God, you'll never guess what I've seen your niece doing." And my auntie be like, "What?" And she'd be like, "Oh, well, your sister's friend has been letting her jump off stages and she could hurt herself because she can't see." And my auntie was just like, "Yeah, don't worry about it." Her mum would let her do the same thing. So like people just get this whole like, "Oh my God, she can't be a child and do things that other children are doing because she might hurt herself," just like other kids might hurt themselves. And I think I was probably better prepared than they were. So, but those are the kinds of things that, again, still go on today. And I think probably today is even worse because, you know, you'd have someone ringing social services. Oh, social services work hard on my mum so many times because I'd be like rollerblading down the street, riding a bike. I wish it was very quiet back then. I didn't go like, you know, right in the middle of rush hour traffic or anything, but I kind of worked out through sound. Like, you know, I could hear where the cars were parked and I knew where the end of the building was. So I knew where to turn, and I probably had less accidents than my sister did. Because she was just dopey. But in the nicest possible way. Love her. But yeah, I think it's so crucial to let kids explore. You know, I used to go with other friends up to the farms and stuff, and we'd spend like our summers days up there, like took our sandwiches up and, you know, walked along grass and climbed trees and crossed rivers and got chased by crazy farmers with shotguns and things that kids did back then. So yeah, I think I was pretty lucky in that respect. People always ask me, do you want your sight back? And the question is always a weird one, because I kind of wouldn't want it back the way it was, because it wouldn't really be really useful. I mean, it would be useful. That's kind of stupid not to say that, but I think if I was going to have it back, I'd want it back in a way that I could control it, which sounds really weird, but you hear about so many cases of psychology's case studies that have had people have gained the sight back and they've gone a little bit nuts because their visual cortex has just gone to overload. So if there was like some glasses I could wear that gave me like 20/20 vision, and like it was connected to a chip and I could take them off when my eyes got tired and like build it up slowly, that would be like the most amazing thing ever. But I don't think I don't know whether the technology is there or not. Yeah, I don't think it is. But maybe one day that would be a cool way of doing it. I don't think my sight could come back. There obviously are steps forward. I mean, I actually didn't tell you what the end result was either. My retinas are still intact. Well, my left one is. The right one isn't, as I said earlier. But the optic nerve stopped working, which is why there's nothing kind of going to the brain anymore. So there's a lot of technology that's going on with nerve repair and stuff, but I don't think I'd just want that one eye back. And I think it'd probably be pretty rubbish now because it's been out of action for so long. So I think my kind of technology solution may be the only way I'd want to go forward, because I'd want to be able to, like, you know, do other stuff. I'd want to work with animals. That's kind of like my main thing. So yeah, I don't know. It's a thing. I wouldn't want it back, like just to have some sight back. I won't want that. But people get really offended when like sighted people say, "Oh, wouldn't you want your sight back?" And I'm like, "Oh my God, no! What is, like, I'm fine the way I am," and that's cool. Like, I have no issue with you feeling that way. But for me, unless I can have it in that controlled way I talked about, I don't think I would want it back either. Because I know how I can do things the way I've done them now. And I think learning to do stuff, it's kind of like having that switch that just you can't turn off. And I think that would be the hardest bit to cope with. So yeah, unless there's a technology improvement, I don't think I want it back either. Because I think the world is challenging. Like, there's no two ways about it. It's sometimes, you know, would be easier if I could see. And I think it's not to say I haven't adapted to life as someone who's visually impaired. I am visually impaired and I accept that wholly, and that's fine. But, you know, there are some times where I think, oh God, if only I had working eyes. But I think that's as well because I've come from where I could see pretty good in one eye. So I think it's from having that experience, and maybe from growing up with other sighted people the whole time. I don't know. There's not really much I can't do. Obviously I work and I horse ride and clean the house. You know, I live by myself with Bertie, my guide dog. So I get to go out with him and do great things like that. But, you know, things like driving a car. I would like to have my own car and not have to deal with public transport because it's abysmal. In fact, just not dealing with other people would be great sometimes. But yeah, if you guys have any questions, you know, as long as they are polite and not rude, I would be happy to answer them. But thank you if you got to the end of this video. Hope this has given you a little bit of a story of my experiences and what my visual impairment has meant to me. Okay, have a great day, and please subscribe to my YouTube channel and like the video and hit the bell so you can get notifications. Thanks for watching, guys. Take care. Bye.